Hello and welcome everyone, I am Maddles and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today guys, I have actually got game 2 of our best of 3 and it is between 80 Sage, the blue Protoss player in the top right, and FXOStrelok, the green Terran player in the lower left. The map is Daybreak, it is the GSL version of Daybreak, so there is that little supply depot there, and I am so looking forward to this game. Game 1 was brilliant, it was epic, and if game 2 is anywhere near as good, then we're all in for a really good treat. Now, obviously I'm not going to give away what happened in game 1 because you should know if you watched it. If you didn't watch it, flick over to my channel and give it a watch. It is up there and it is a really, really good game, and I strongly suggest that you all go and give it a quick watch. Now, so far we've got Sage, the pile on the high ground, so not doing anything too crazy. There goes down the supply depot in a wall off position for Strelok, so again, nothing too out of the ordinary, nothing that is going to be completely hectic. Now, on Daybreak is actually a map you can play quite economically on because, as you can see from this probe taking an awfully long time to get over to Strelok's base, the rush distance is huge, and that does give you a little bit of time to react. It means that you're a little bit safer early on. Rushes don't work very effectively on Daybreak, so really, I reckon both players should be expanding relatively quickly. Obviously, it is Protoss v Terran, so they're not going to be going super quick because it is just a bit too risky with what your opponents can do. Now, the other thing I'd like to say about TvP is obviously there's the three main stages. You've got the first stage where, of course, gateway units are really, really good. Then you have, of course, Stimpack research, where Marines and Marauders suddenly get very, very good against gateway units, and then the Protoss player responds with either Colossus or High Templar and Storm, preferably both, and then really the damage is done there. And now, as I was saying that there is not going to be any super quick or risky expansions, that is exactly what Strelok decides to do, chucking down his command center. It is a command center first build now. Obviously it was scouted though by Sage, so Sage is completely aware of what is going on. We've got the gateway coming down there as well now, the probe coming down. Judging by the amount of minerals, is going to be expanding. That's the best thing to do because you know your opponent is expanding. You either have to do a lot of damage off of one base, which isn't the easiest thing to do. Alternatively, you have to expand with them and just make sure that economical pressure stays the same. However, with that gateway already out for Sage, he may try and do a little bit of poking and prodding with pressure, but the double barracks follow-up is really nice from Strelok here. It'll allow him to get a lot of Marines out just to stay a little bit safer, and obviously he's building the command center on the high ground, which means he does have a complete wall off, which essentially means that Sage isn't going to be able to punch in and do lots of damage because of the wall off there and the Marines behind the probe. Still getting some scouting information though. We've got the cybernetics core as well as the first gas coming down now for Sage. Strelok probably won't take any gas for a while. He'll consider it probably after this command center's done. We'll get one, more likely two refineries relatively quickly, just so he can start teching up. I expect the tech will be a tech lab and a reactor. That is for obviously stim and also the increased marine production off of there. So we do have the first Vespian geyser being taken, and SCV moved over as if it's going to build the second one, so we are going to have two double Vespian geysers done literally just as half of the orbital command is done. The natural base there for Sage is just about to finish up. Quenaboo's coming down on the Stalker. The Zealot was skipped, exactly the right thing to do because you don't need the Zealot in all honesty when you've seen that your opponent has gone for a command center first build. There's absolutely no risk of you going to get pressured, so you can afford to skip it and use the extra 100 minerals for something more productive. We do have a bunker coming down here now for Strelok. That bunker going to be so good in order to help defend because, let's face it, if you've got the bunker there, the Stalker is outranged. It's not going to be able to take it down before the Marines deal enough damage. The Marines are moving forward, though. You need to be careful because that Stalker is on its way across the map. Of course, the probe is sitting at the watchtower, so good move by Strelok. Going to go and take that watchtower back. Should get a probe kill as well, so that is always good times. The first loss of the game goes to Sage, which is always irritating. You don't want to be the first person to lose something. Anyway, Stargate. And one gateway, so it's going to be some Stargate play in here. That could be really fun indeed. That Stalker is coming forward, is going to meet a bit of a tough time with the bunker. That one Marine, though, is out of the bunker and is chasing the Stalker down. Strelok needs to quickly micro that back, and great little move there, keeping the Marine alive by dropping one of the full health Marines out and letting the damaged brethren inside. So that was very, very nice little bit of micro there by Strelok, resulting in him not losing anything. The Stalker only took shield damage though, so nothing too much to worry about. Two more gateways on the way. Of course, that Stargate is about to finish up. We do have here an SCV coming across the map, getting some good... We'll get some good scouting information because there's no wall off. There's no way to prevent it. Going to see the Stargate. That in itself is helpful. Yes, the sentry is out there, but it is not out there in time. So, of course, the sentry will try and take down the SCV. But the SCV gets in and we'll see the 4 gateways already in production and knows completely now what Sage's plan is, and Strelok can adapt appropriately to it. A second bunker getting thrown down now, so just really gearing up for a defensive position, knows that he probably needs to defend something big soon. This factory coming down for Strelok, almost certainly going to be used for nothing other than getting the tech to the starport, and obviously making sure that you have an add-on for said starport as soon as it's finished. That's otherwise known as powering add-ons, which I'm sure every Terran player who's watching should be doing with their buildings. Anyway, we do have that Stalker taking a little bit of health damage, wants to be careful there. The Voidway coming across. Now, looking at angles of attack for the Voidway there, well, the main base is slightly vulnerable. Yes, you've got a lot of dead space around here, but of course there's so many Marines. The Marines splitting up already. We've got 2 Marines and 4 Marines. A third bunker finished. A Marauder is already out there. And, well, we've got the Voidway pushing forward. If that Voidway comes into those bunkers, it's going to take so much damage so quickly. And that would not be fun for it at all. The Stalker and the Voidway is not able to do much at all. Of course, there is some dead space that you can utilise. The pylon coming down there. But with Marines there, Strelok is just going to have such a nice time. Marauder in the bunker as well is just going to help massively. A good little pick-off of this supply depot is potentially viable, assuming that obviously enough damage can be done without those SCVs repairing in time, but needs to be careful of these Marines. The stim pack upgrade has of course now finished. Concussive shells is now being researched. The Marines don't have combat shield yet, so they are a bit vulnerable to heavy focus fire or anything like that, but as you can see, just sentries coming across now, the 1 Voidway, a couple of Phoenix in production, that will help no doubt. There's 2 already down here. They can get into the middle line and start picking up some units and basically try and pick off a couple of workers. If we look up here, we do have somewhere, there we go, the robotics bay coming down, so Colossus tech is on the cards for Sage right now. The 3rd Phoenix there, 4th Phoenix nearly finished as well now. The main army just sitting outside the natural base behind the rocks, which will allow some good force fields should Strelok decide to push forward. And as you can see, that may be what he's going to go for now. Needs to be careful though, because obviously if those force fields are on the money, it could cause problems. And there's the force field that exactly what I was talking about. Pylon gets picked off though. That is a nice little win. Of course, the 4 Phoenix are now just sitting down there doing nothing. The 5th Phoenix about to pop as well. And basically what Sage is planning is waiting for Strelok to move out of his base, come and apply some pressure, and then he's going to go in with the Phoenix, but a missile turret is already in production, now need to get lifted very, very quickly to prevent anything else being done. These Phoenix should be able to do big damage to the middle line here, get an awful lot of kills off, and basically that missile turret is the only threat, but the Phoenix can just sit over the other side. Just look at how many kills are getting done down here, and well, some medevacs, they're going to get taken out as well. That is always a good win if you manage to pick up some medevacs, especially for nothing. And of course behind the Sage is just getting ready to gear up to defend this push, can get some good force fields down that should allow him to react appropriately. But all 4 medevacs pick up all of the units and are going straight to the main base. Can Sage get back quickly enough? The answer is no. He has got nothing there. The Phoenix are coming over, but they're going to get focused down so easily by the Marines. They will not be able to kill any of the medevacs, and well, here comes the counter damage right now by Strelok. He is getting both of those pylons, depowering all 4 of the gateways. That is going to make reinforcements for Sage so difficult. For the moment though, this push hasn't done too much massive damage. Of course, the Colossus is there doing some great splash to the infantry. Those Phoenix are working miracles on picking off the medevacs, preventing the heals going down. Quite a lot of stims being used as well, but without the medevac support, that won't get cleaned up too comfortably. And in terms of the loss tab, Strelok is coming out a lot worse right now, and that is not something that you want. In terms of the worker count, let's take a look at that. It's 46 to 39, so 7 worker advantage right now to Sage. That is really as simple as that. It's very, very nice. Of course, mules will help Strelok. In terms of workers killed, Sage killed 1 more, so economic damage done pretty equal. But of course, all 4 of these gateways are still unpowered, and the pylon's only just getting reproduced now. That is going to be a big hit to the production capability of Sage, and will probably result in him banking up quite a lot of money soon. He is expanding down to his 3rd though. He did this while the push was going on, and I think that's a good move to do, because he knows he can get away with it. Now, we do have a handful of Phoenix coming over, but there's a missile turret at the mineral line. If we look up at the main base as well, there's a missile turret at either side of the mineral line there as well. So those Phoenix are pretty much not going to be able to get too much done. They can come and try and harass any reinforcements or things like that, but they cannot engage the army head-on because there would be too much damage done. And, well, the Phoenix, they're trying to find an angle of attack to go in at, but Sage, he's going to struggle getting in anywhere and taking quite a few hits there. The second round of this push coming in for Strelok now, and he's just taking it a bit tentatively because he doesn't quite know what his opponent has got down. 2 Colossus are out, a 3rd Colossi is about to pop, and that's going to really help him because those additional Colossi basically make the infantry completely melt. And for the moment, there's no Vikings on the field at all to deal with those. So as long as Sage does good force fields, he should be absolutely fine. There's the third Colossus out now. Extended Thermal Lance is about half done, and yet again Strelok looking like he's getting ready to go that big 4 medevac drop into the main, but of course was scouted out by a probe there. And now, as I was saying, all of these reinforcements are now getting picked off. I'm surprised the Phoenix aren't going for the Marines, because they could lift them and pick them off very comfortably at that stage. But again, it doesn't matter too much. Those Phoenix are trying to do anything and everything they can. They've got to kill there with something. And of course, Phoenix being very, very cost effective, of course. If we look at the income, it's a lot better at the moment for Sage. And if we look in terms of the resources lost, nearly double lost for Strelok compared to Sage, which is not something that you really want to be doing. The third base, of course, up and well now for Sage. If we look here for Strelok, he is getting up his third command center, but that is a lot later. I mean, his third command center is only a quarter done compared to Sage already having his third base up and running, but it is going to be vulnerable to this push coming in now, and it all comes down to how well Sage can defend it. And, well, at the moment, Sage is in a good spot. He's got a lot of Colossus out, and in terms of the Vikings, there is only one on the field. And I don't even believe it's here, but a single drop coming off that, it could be an absolute miracle move by Strelok, because that will allow him to come down and drop in here. But there is a lot of Phoenix patrolling around here. If they pick off that medevac, that'll be absolutely huge damage. But meanwhile, we've got a big engagement coming down here, and Sage is just vaporizing this Terran army. He is doing so well, it is absolutely insane. Just look at the amount of damage being done right now, and this got cleaned up very, very comfortably. And as you can see, Strelok is now, well, over double the resources lost compared to his opponent. The drop is able to go down into the main base, though. A couple of Zealots there are really saying they're ready to buy time. Some great lifts on all the Marines. These Phoenix being used so effectively, and Strelok GG's out. And that, of course, does mean that Sage takes this best of 3, 2-0 with some amazing play. He was just so cost effective in game. It was brilliant. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy my cast, please subscribe. I get new top level games up every day. If you have any cool comments about the players, my casting, or the game, leave them below. And obviously like the video, that'd be great. Most importantly though, if you want any more StarCraft, flick over to my channel because I've got hundreds of replays. And if you've watched them all, I'll see you tomorrow for another new one. Bye for now, guys.